Hello people who learn English. Если у вас нет репетитора по английскому, а практиковать речь все равно хочется, но особо не с кем, you are welcome to this video, где мы практикуем речь в формате вопрос-ответ. Меня зовут Аня, я преподаю английский уже более 4 лет, и на своем канале я делюсь тем, как улучшить ваш английский, а также побороть языковой барьер. Если вы настроены немного поболтать, let's get started with today's topic – reading. Правила просты, прослушайте вопрос, подготовьте на него ответ, а затем послушайте мой ответ, сравнив его со своим. Okay, so let's get started with the first question, which will be how often do you read and what are you reading right now? I would say that I read quite often and I try to read as more as possible. But the tendency is that I usually read not more than one book per month. If the book is really interesting, I can forget about time and really drag into it. But usually I tend to stop myself. I do it in order not to let my brain get exhausted very quickly. So I think that it's better to get your brain rest for a little bit. But of course I would like to read more. Right now I'm reading the book that is called Brit Mary Was Here by Frederick Backman, but honestly I don't really find this book quite engaging. So maybe I will change it with something else. The next question is quite interesting. What's your favorite or least favorite genre, book or author? Oh, I can say that I always read and read classics. For some reason, modern literature is not really interesting to me. I quickly get bored with the language and the plot if I read modern languages, but of course there can be some exceptions. For example, Normal People or Eat, Pray, Love. But most of my favorite books belong to classic. And as for my favorite book and favorite author, I would mention, of course, Dostoevsky, Cronin, Hugo, and maybe Charlotte Bronte with Jane Eyre. And as for modern book, by the way, I really loved and love Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling. Next question is, what's the worst book in your opinion? I would say the worst book for me is something that is really boring and with poor language. And something about character that I find annoying. If I get pissed off with the character, I'd rather not like this book. So I can list 3 worst books for me. I was really bored with Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf because I found the characters really annoying and I couldn't understand the language, I couldn't understand the idea of the book. It was really hard to concentrate while I was reading. And I didn't really like Breakfast at Tiffany's and Madame Bovary because the characters of this book were really irritating to me. Next question. Do you prefer reading paper, real book or e-book or maybe on your phone? Oh, it's quite a complicated question for me because I would say that I rather prefer real books to electronic ones, but I can buy a real book only after I read it on electronic device, so I can understand whether I want to buy it or not, whether it's worth of buying or not. So if I understand that I get really interested in the plot and in the book, only then I can buy a real book. But if we speak about the process of enjoyment, this or this, I would say that for me it's more convenient to read a real book because I can see the pages and I can return back to some moment if I want to, or I can write something down on that book, or I can make a mark on that, make a notion, and again return since time to that moment and reread it. How reading is important for people. Yeah, I guess it's a huge question, and I don't want to say about this a lot, but the main thing I guess in reading is that it improves your imagination and it improves your language. So while reading, you can really upgrade your speaking, upgrade your vocabulary, upgrade your understanding of the world, because you can see other people's ideas and you can see other people's world vision, you know. And I would say that when I started to reading, I became a really sympathetic person, because I could get into people's feelings even on paper, and I would say that that improved my character. What is your advice to people who want to read more? So obviously it's an audio book. Of course it's not real reading, but you still can get into the story, get into some plot, you know. But if I wanted to add something more, I would say that you could read as much as possible. For example, if you find that you have only 20 minutes a day, so read these 20 minutes a day, not necessarily for 100 pages. So it can be any amount of pages, but still you are like in that process of reading, but you do it regularly. Or you can pick, let us say, exact days, for example, Tuesday, Thursday, and you can dedicate the evenings on these days directly to reading. So you are as if you are making from this a habit. Okay, that will be all for our speaking practice for today. Thank you very much for attention, and I will be really happy and glad if you answered all of the questions and spoke a little bit with me. So I see you in next videos. Stay tuned. Bye bye. Have a good day.